Probably record it. Hold on. There we go. This is being recorded now. Chat room, hello and welcome. Thanks for being out here for the live one. The other 30K people at home, it's nice to talk to you as well. Here we go. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
I have
Current Geek!
Aha.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Current Geek. This is the weekly proceedings of the meetings of the Frog Pants All-Stars. Geeks of the world and you to keep you current on all things that matter most. I'm Scott Johnson. That's Tom Merritt. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Scott Johnson.
Hey, man.
I am ready once again to kick off a geeky weekend.
Oh, that'd be all right. You and I, a couple of guests chilling
I'd
out.
be okay with that?
Yeah, you got a new coffee maker over there, and
I do.
I'm formatting a couple of hard drives. I mean, what can you ask more than that in life?
Coffee geek, little hard drive geek, little current geek. It's a triple threat.
Works for me. Let's make it a quadruple threat. We have guests with us today. They are Chris and Graham from the Comedy Film Nerds podcast and comedyfilmnerds.com. Welcome to the show, guys.
Great to be here.
It's good to have you. Good to have you both. Chris, now where are you, Chris? Where do you live?
I'm in the Sherman Oaks area.
Nice. And then you got Graham in Santa Clara. No, what'd you say?
Close. Santa Monica.
It was a Santa something. And it's great to have you both here and bringing your kind of your nerd cred to the table. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
You betcha.
Glad to bring it.
Tom, we should just jump right into these stories because, man, they look tasty. Here's a bumper for them.
Herbert Hoover, Secretary of Commerce in 1922, finds infant radio facilitates news gathering, as do many others in high public office.
Not sure tasty would have been the word I would have chosen, because our first story, thanks to Fritz Krieg and the vote of our voters on our subreddit, is going to let me tell you about the world's first successful penis transplant.
Woo!
It took place for the benefit of a 21-year-old patient in Cape Town, South Africa, after complications related to a traditional circumcision more than 3 years ago. It took only 4 months for the patient to regain all function. Professor Andre van der Merwe, who led the operation, said, "We are very surprised by his rapid recovery." Science!
Hey, when it comes to a man's dingus, time is no object. You know, you're willing to take whatever steps it takes to get
Folks
back.
Folks at home, you can begin counting the euphemisms.
It's very progressive. You know, they started off segregating his penis, and now it's back together.
Well, and so on the morning show this week, we covered this story as well. And one of the things that came out in the story was part of this is, I guess, a big problem in that part of the world where a lot of
South Africa.
There are some
part of the world.
There are some ritualized sort of things people do for circumcisions that are not necessarily the most hygienic and doesn't necessarily have the best sort of doctor-supported stuff going on. So there's way more of these problems per year than one would hope. And so this was kind of an experimental thing to see if maybe there was a way to, I don't know, solve this for others. But
I think the solution is just to move.
Yeah, get out of there, man. Do you guys think, because this feels like future tech to me, you know, artificial hearts are great and all that, but you know, let's put it this way. It's a fleshy thing. It's a very hard thing to reconstruct. I'm guessing this is kind of a breakthrough in a lot of ways. Do we want to, what's next? Where does this lead?
I don't know. This whole time I've had my hand on my groin, wincing. So it's hard for me to really give you any sort of answer other than, oh, this is horrifying.
Yeah, good point.
I don't want anyone ever going near my jive with a knife. So I don't care how good of a doctor they are. I don't care what they're prescribed. I don't need it. I don't want it.
Maybe solve this issue on the front end and train the doctors how to do circumcisions properly.
That's a good point, right?
Like, you treat the problem, not the symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Teach a man to fish. None of these analogies are working. But
yeah, teach him two birds.
Teach a man to swim. Yeah, teach a man to swim before he goes in the ocean.
Well, anyway.
All right. Let's move on to Dee Basinge pointing out that Dr. Joseph Roche, a professor at Trinity College School of Education in Dublin, who has a PhD in physics and astrophysics, throwing cold water on the Mars One project. If you don't know, that's one where thousands of people have applied to become one of 4 ideal humans who will agree to take a one-way trip to Mars. Allegedly. Apparently, to get through each selection round, you're encouraged to buy merchandise or donate money. Wait. Oh, sorry. This is about a kid's greeting card sales plan. Wait, no. Maybe it's about Scientology. No, it is about Mars One. Apologies for the confusion.
Wow. I want to go to Mars, so why not?
So I'm a little confused. Is this a Kickstarter to go to Mars?
It's more of an Amway to go to Mars, is what it seems like.
An Amway to Mars.
So you have to sell merch to get to Mars?
Apparently, you just buy merch, so it is more like Scientology in that way. Like, you want to get through the rounds. To get through the rounds, you get points, but the points are sort of not related to anything you do to prove yourself. It has to do with how much stuff.
Like the biggest scam that's ever been perpetrated. Does
it seem like a bigger scam because of, I mean, it's quite the scope, right? We're talking about a trip to Mars, not, a deal on coupons or something. So to me, it seems more scammy because it's a thing that A, doesn't really exist yet as a practical means of getting there. And B, when it is a practical means, surely that we'll have better ways of doing it than this weird piece of business. It feels like almost a reverse pyramid scheme. In a weird way, like an upside down pyramid. I don't know.
It's like offering someone a live dinosaur.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay for it, you deserve to be separated from your money.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But here, so when it does come around, when we are taking trips to the Red Planet.
Wait, I'm sorry. We can buy dinosaurs? I'm unclear about this whole process.
Well, for $1,000, I can tell you more.
Okay, yeah, I'm in.
I'll let you know. When we do go there, though, I mean, the hope is that we figured it out as a human race, and we've come up with practical ways to do this. Like one would think there'd be ways of transporting us that were legal and above board, and hopefully someday affordable, and didn't involve all this strangeness. So for me, this is no different than any other scam. It's too early. Like nobody's taking trips there yet. I think I'll wait till the first crew tries to go there, dies on the way. Second crew goes, gets some weird Martian disease and dies while they're there. Third group gets it right. Then I might consider it.
Well, it depends how many telepathic Martians are there when we get there. They might create a small 50s town to trick the astronauts and kill them.
It's usually the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I see that's all well. I think that's a good theory is play it safe till a couple of groups go. But what if the first group just has really cool T-shirts that you buy or something like that? Then,
well, hey, whatever it takes to make their trip to Mars more enjoyable. But this is a very odd thing, and I'm kind
of disappointed about this because as crazy as it sounded, I wanted it to be true that like some kind of private entity was willing to say we'll get there first. We'll fund it ourselves. We'll get to Mars. I wanted to believe, and I should have known better because it doesn't seem like there's anything to it but selling T-shirts.
If it's anyone else other than Elon Musk or Richard Branson, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, probably true. Branson can only even go into suborbit. It takes Elon Musk to get up into the actual orbit. Anyway,
that is who's going to get us there. If it's not those two, it's somebody like that, somebody with a bunch of tech money that'll do it. So unless they're the ones giving you the deal, I don't know that I would trust this. So wait.
Ultimately, I would like to travel into space.
Yeah, me too.
I'd do it if it was a real thing, like you knew, and you were going, and there was a space station, and you'd have to live there.
And you'd have to buy merch to get there? Of course. Who wouldn't?
No. I'd sell merch. If I could set up like a merch stand.
Well, hold on. Graham, if somebody came to you and said, you can go, but you can never come back. This is the one-way trip. Are you ready? Are you good?
Yeah, I think I would do it.
As long as you can sell merch on the other end, make a living, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Has the space station got cool stuff to do? I mean, then I don't know.
Probably not.
Well, if there's not. I mean, they got to have at least like a water park or something. I mean, if they don't have that, then
They just got a coffee maker on the International Space Station for the first time. So give them a little bit of time before they get to
How does that work? Coffee makers need a lot of gravity and stuff, don't they? How's that
it's like a specially designed thing where it can pump the water, with that in any orientation. It doesn't matter which way is up.
Wow. A non-discriminating coffee maker. I like it.
Once they get like laser tag or something like that, I'm in. Then I'll go.
All right.
There we go. We got a benchmark. Nintendo announced in a press conference that it will partner with mobile game publisher DNA to make original mobile games using Nintendo characters and worlds. Along with the new games this autumn, Nintendo will also launch a cross-platform membership service for mobile devices, PC, and Nintendo devices. One of those devices will someday be a new game console referred to as only NX. Nintendo called it an entirely new concept, but we won't hear any more details about it until next year.
So even though, Nintendo's hit and miss with their plans when it comes to things like this, sometimes they'll have a gimmick that sticks and sells a lot of hardware, and sometimes it doesn't so much, like this current generation, despite the fact that there's some good games and some decent tech on display. I have no idea what they might possibly mean, what Iwata might mean by entirely new concept. It's also kind of weirdly translated, I've heard. From what he really said.
It's that, that publicist speak. This is going to be the best console ever that you've never seen before.
Yep. And
it's like, oh, no, it's a glove or a robot.
Probably. They're going to gimmick. There'll be a gimmick. If they're going to follow their previous patterns, it'll be some sort of gimmick. I kind of hope the entirely new concept is a competitive third console that third parties love and can compete with the big two. That would be a really nice concept at this stage.
It would. And, when the Wii came out, the Wii was, we still have ours. We still use it. It's still really fun. But I think all the lawyers working on the Nintendo bankruptcy documents finally went, oh, thank God I don't have to work on this anymore once the mobile announcement was done. Because there's no better library more suited to mobile than all of the 2D scrollers and all of that stuff for iPad and iPhone. So I think that's going to be a huge, huge boost for Nintendo to finally get their stuff onto mobile platforms other than their own.
Yeah, I agree with it. It's a big deal, and the partnership is a big deal, and their stock went way up as a result, and all these things are good. One thing they did say is that these games will be original games. They'll be based on a lot of their own IPs, but they won't be simple ports from previous outings, which is good news in the respect that if you're already a big Nintendo consumer, you're not going to have to replay things to enjoy them on your mobile device. On the other hand, how much free-to-play, how much weird freemium hook stuff are they going to put in there?
I'm hoping none, because freemium is one of the worst inventions ever.
It's the worst.
It's almost like a fake trip to Mars.
It kind of is. And look, I've seen a mock-up that made me not nervous, but it reminds you that we got to be careful with this. It was a picture of two-dimensional Mario, kind of Super Mario World era Mario, and he's standing below different blocks to jump and hit, and one of them has a little shopping cart, and evoked this idea that, oh no, I'm going to have to buy coins to continue or whatever. So
I'd be surprised if that happens, because you've got so many younger consumers of Nintendo product. I don't know. I think they're going to just charge for the games and give you the games. I'd be surprised if they went freemium. It's not impossible, but it doesn't seem like it's their business model.
Yeah. Excited though, see what happens. I have no idea how that's going to pan out, but the stock price went crazy, and that seems like a good thing. So,
well, and I can't decide whether the fact that they said it's all original, they're not going to just port Super Mario Brothers over, is incredibly smart or will be a disaster. It kind of depends on what they do.
I think it's a temporary thing. I think eventually you will see the old games ported.
Well, I think what they're saying is porting the old games would be a subpar experience because they're meant for different kinds of controllers. So what we want to do is take these same characters and create games that are fitted to the devices they're going to be played on. In which case, if they do something that's like, hey, this is kind of like Super Mario Brothers, but it makes more sense on a tablet, I'm all for that. I'm with you. But if it ends up being like, hey, this is an entirely different kind of game that that's not in the Nintendo style at all, but it's got a Mario face on it, then that would be it. That'd
be disappointing. Look, they've got a game right now on the Wii U called crap, I can never remember the name of it. Toad's Big Adventure or something like that. Anyway, it's like,
well, it's either going to have Mario, Zelda, or Kirby in it. So
yeah,
just one of those names.
that seems likely. But regardless, there are a lot of pinch and zoom things they're playing with on the Wii U that they could really excel with here. And I mean like puzzle games where you've got to kind of rotate around things and look at them from different angles, and they're kind of perfectly suited for a touchscreen, even more so than the Wii U pad. So I actually think that's probably some of the stuff we're going to see. But when they say original games, that makes me hope that Nintendo will put their magic on it and make original experiences that are actually really fun. But later on, if they want to make a $10 bundle of Super Mario Brothers all the way up through the latest, 2D version, so like maybe 1, 2, and 3 as a compilation or whatever, they'll have my money. I'll play that. So yeah, either way, I'm actually kind of a little bit is it bullish or what's
bullish?
Bullish. Thank you.
If you're positive, you're bullish.
There. If I was if I'm a bear,
bearish?
then
I don't know.
If I'm bear, I'm all
Who
hairy.
never says that, though?
No one says it anymore.
You could say hopeful or not sad.
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah. Where's the 1920s era reference in that, I'd say?
What does that even mean? Oh, it means exactly what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
There was once a 2010 animated film short written and directed by Patrick Jean about an invasion of New York by classic 8-bit characters. Then it was licensed to become a movie. Now the movie is coming this summer, starring Adam Sandler and Kevin James. The trailer is out. We watched it, and Rob Stack asked on our subreddit at currentgeek.reddit.com, is there any way this movie can be any good?
And let me answer that. No. I don't think it'll be the worst movie ever made, but it will be like in the bottom 5 to 10.
Oh wow.
That was like that when I watched that trailer, I've never seen an interesting concept go so horribly wrong in such a short amount of time. Like, because you've got this goodwill and this nostalgia built up that you already have for this idea and this property because it's beloved video games that we grew up with. So it takes a lot of incompetence to ruin it in the first 10 to 15 seconds. Yeah. And well done. So it's going to be nominated for a Razzie. There's no question. And it will be probably the biggest bomb of the summer.
Yeah. I actually think the only thing I would argue with there is I think it'll actually do some money and do okay, because his movies somehow do that, despite them being the worst reviewed things of the year. But somehow they end up making a ton of money. All of this aside, if you want to see
Chris Columbus directing it, which means you've got 2 feet already in the grave.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you want to see this concept done properly and to actually make you laugh, dig back through the Futurama episodes and find the one where they did this exact same thing. It's a very funny episode about classic arcade games and having to save the world from them attacking. In fact, it's kind of lifted. I'm a little shocked. At least the trailer seems to show a straight-up ripoff of that great Futurama episode. So my advice is save your money. Maybe
the director of Miss Doubtfire was stealing other concepts. That's weird.
Well, what's he really? I mean, he's known for what? The first 2 Harry Potter movies. One of the Home Alones. That's
like you're getting into that are actually watchable. But you also have, there's like a Percy Jackson movie in there. There's, look up his IMDb page. You'll just go, oh.
It's getting a little
grim. You guys
grim.
are focusing. You guys are literally. It's like you're blaming World War II on Belgium.
Well, if they'd stopped Germany, Graham.
Yeah. Well, the problem here is Adam Sandler and Kevin James. That is where you guys need to focus your efforts, because they are the reason why this was stolen from a Futurama episode, and why they're going to take a funny concept and ruin it.
And the other thing is, like, that concept was probably funny in 22 minutes or less too.
Yeah, the exact length of that said Futurama episode, which is worth seeing, everybody. If you have a chance to see it, it may ruin you on Pixels in 2015, but it's actually really, really funny. But also, animation kind of lends itself to that kind of quick idea, and this feels like it's going to be overlong. I don't know. Plus, you don't make Pac-Man a bad guy. What world are we living in? He's a hero, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's also, and they're trying to make jokes about it in the trailer, and then everything possible falls flat. So you're like, wow, if this is what they're picking for the trailer, imagine what the rest of the movie looks like.
Yeah.
Peter Dinklage is in this? I don't remember him in the trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was trying to save him by not mentioning that part.
Great. Well, Sean Bean's in it, so he'll die. Everything's fine. Oh, look,
Well,
that's 2
Kevin
Game
James
of
will
Thrones.
stumble over something and fall. That would be.
Oh, he bumps in the Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 trailer. He bumps into something 4 times in the trailer.
Wow. It's kind of sad because remember his stand-up was pretty funny. Like
in the 90s.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Back in the day.
Back before the movies took over. It's too bad.
Remember when Bill Clinton was president? Remember that?
Yeah, those are good times.
That was funny.
Yeah.
When Bill Clinton was president. Hey, Paintball Hobo pointed out the 3D printing startup Carbon 3D has developed a new 3D printing process that works fast enough to be used for production instead of just making prototypes. The process is similar to stereolithography, if you know what that is, but they call it CLIP, continuous liquid interface production. CLIP involves using light and oxygen to grow objects from a pool of resin instead of building the object layer by layer. Carbon 3D says CLIP is 25 to 100 times faster than traditional 3D printing and can work with a wider array of materials. They debuted the technology on Monday at the TED conference in Vancouver and said they are going to ship it before the end of the year. But if you look at this thing, it's Terminator.
Well,
it's just a liquid blob turning into a real thing out of nowhere.
So we just talked about this last week about how for 3D printing to truly jump into the next thing, because we're like dot matrix is what we are now. Quite literally, it works like a dot matrix printer, the existing printers that are out there. Something like this seems like a huge step forward toward what we talked about last week, which is 3D printers that are doing this stuff quickly. We got to get to that place
Scott,
where
the extruded lines remind me more of vector printing, but I take your point.
You get my point. But like I need a machine to crap out my spaghetti dinner in like 5 seconds. I don't need to wait for this thing to go zzz, 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 for 3 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, whatever it takes now.
So you guys are looking for something that will print your dinner.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, like food. They've got some sugar extruders and some other stuff now that they showed off at CES that does food. None of it. So it's
impossible that might happen. You might actually be able to design like a candy and then just print it out and then eat it.
Yeah, that's the theory. I've heard it isn't very good. That I've heard.
Really?
Yeah,
that's surprising.
I know. Seems shocking, right?
Shocker.
Well, I think they should print out a rocket to take us to Mars. I think that would be the next step here.
A candy rocket takes me to Mars.
Takes us to Mars. Then when you get there, you could eat it.
This is a pot-filled. This is a dream.
It's a one-way trip, but a delicious one.
I like it.
Well, they need to print a Trojan horse and go to the premiere of this Kevin James Adam Sandler movie and stop these people from ever making films again.
Right.
I want to watch that movie.
Right.
Kevin
If
James.
you watch Pixels and then the new Get Hard movie with Will Ferrell, you would probably kill yourself, I think.
Or at least chop off something you would need to have a transplant for.
Quite the throwback series we had just now. That's amazing.
Let's see what we can do with the next story. The Corley pointed out Fraser Cain's excellent exploration of whether the Death Star could, in fact, actually blow up a planet. Now, you should read it over at phys.org to get the actual explanation and the math and all that. But spoiler alert, it would take all the energy of the sun a week to do the job. However, if the Death Star were only to shoot a targeting laser to deploy a 3-kilometer wide ball of antimatter iron, might work.
So is that like a ball peen hammer on a windshield? Same idea?
Kind of, yeah.
Because you know how you could use like a big sledge and it would just shatter but not break. But if you use a little ball peen, you get like that point of impact. Maybe that's the same idea. Or you
throw the little piece of a spark plug.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there might be some other ways to do it. Like, what if it was some kind of chain reaction beam or bomb where it like used the planet to kind of tear itself apart, a la Ender's Game, something like that. I think there might be some other technologies that the evil empire might be looking into when building the Death Star. There's plenty of ways to blow up a planet.
What is the quantifiable energy of the sun after a week of harnessing it? What does that even represent? I don't know how much energy that is. That's just
I don't know. Go to phys.org. He's got it all there.
That's just space talk. It's like, we'd need to harness the magic of Gondor.
Okay, Scott. You asked for this.
Okay.
An Earth-sized mass world. Let's see that. Here we go. How much energy is that going to take? There's an easy calculation you could make. The energy you need is equal to 3 times the gravitational constant, 6.673 by 10 to the 11th, times the mass of the planet squared divided by 5 times the planet's radius. Do this math for an Earth-sized mass world, and let's see. That's 2 and 1. Carry the 5, and you get 2 to the 10 to the 32nd joules. That's a 2 followed by 36 zeros in joules. Our sun puts out 3 times 10 to the 22nd joules per second. So if you poured all the energy from the sun into the task of tearing apart the Earth, it wouldn't have enough energy to do it. You'd need to focus the light of the sun for a full week.
So just blow it up after a week.
Or you could just show pixels in every movie theater.
And the energy from people's consternation and disappointment
would tear the Earth apart.
overcome the Earth's gravity.
So this is going to happen
Guys,
anyway.
while you were doing it, I actually just checked that guy's math, and I came up with 5.
5?
Oh, well, there.
Great.
Makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
Is that photo scale they're using, Tom, as a side note on that page? Like, is that supposed to be the Earth is as compared to the Death Star? If that's true, I always assumed the Death Star was like was smaller than a planet. I had no idea. Anyway.
That's a moon. It's small.
No,
it's
it's size of a moon. Sure.
That's no moon. Just kidding.
I know, but let's see. Apparently Death Star is approximately 150 kilometers across.
Okay. All right. In you mean our big fictitious ball of death is that big? All right, great.
In standard imperial kilometers. Yeah.
Nice.
Finally, Sony's PlayStation Vue internet TV service launched in New York, Chicago, and Philadelphia on Wednesday, starting at $50 a month. After a 7-day free trial, subscribers can watch 60 channels from CBS, NBC, Fox, Discovery, Scripps, Turner, and Viacom. AMC's coming soon. If you notice, there's no ABC there, no ESPN. You can pay $10 extra to get some regional sports channels. So if you're in New York, you'd get the Yes Network, for instance. And another $10 adds 26 other lifestyle and entertainment channels. Service provides 3-day on-demand access to many shows and also allows you to program a cloud DVR that stores recordings for up to 28 days. Streams can be viewed on your PS3 and your PS4. You can look at 3 devices at a time with the same account, and support for iPads and other devices is supposedly coming soon.
So,
now, if there's no ABC, that means there's also no Disney channels either.
Right?
Yeah, and so if you have kids, it's already a non-starter.
Is the Yes, by the way, is the Yes Network just 24 hours of Owner of a Lonely Heart covers? Is that what that is? Because I would watch that. Not a problem. Here's the question. Whether or not this drives me, I'm a cord cutter, and I got away from cable partly, not entirely, but partly because it was expensive. This doesn't seem any cheaper to me. Right around
what it is, it's a step in the right direction, but it's a step nobody cares about.
Yeah, if this was a $20 step, we'd all be jumping up and down. Like, this sounds like a great deal.
So it's just content. You still have to get the actual cable, and you still need an internet provider. To get
but I mean, the idea is that I already have an internet provider, right? So I'm already going to pay for the internet. Is the assumption?
But you got to add that to the total cost.
Sure.
Well, do you though? Because I could get cable television. I would keep my internet whether I have cable television or not. I'm just saying I would have internet whether I needed it for this. So I'm not going to count that as an extra expense.
But your jump to getting cable on the, let's say you're paying, I don't know, $60 a month for good internet, let's just say. If your jump to cable is only another $20, which is sometimes the deal, like Comcast has a deal where it's internet and cable for right around what that combined cost would be, then it's a better deal to stick with cable than it is to dump cable, keep your internet, and get View for $50 to $70.
Right. It's all about the way they're doing the piecemeal and the math right now. Like, I think if View started offering like I don't know if they will or not, but like a bundle. Well, no, we'll do your we'll do your internet too for $50 and all this content. Like the way the cable companies are still holding on to people is with the bundling. Like okay, well, we'll give you internet, but then it's only cable or it's only phone for just a little bit more. So I think everyone's still kind of figuring it out, but like I said, it's a step in the right direction, but it's too expensive a step. It's like HBO Go being $15 a month. I'm like, well, I could get HBO for $10 a month and get HBO Go. Mm-hmm. So
let me ask you this: do you guys know of is there anyone out there trying to come up with like internet, like good high-speed internet for $20 a month? Is that anyone doing that?
That's the biggest problem, right? I think you nailed it. That's what I was going to say too, Graham, is we actually need just more competitors in the internet space
because
to
if
bring down those prices.
Yeah, because if someone came up with $25 high-speed internet, well, then this is a done deal. And then these a la carte subscriptions, I would get ESPN and I'd get HBO, and I'd still be under $60 for the whole thing.
Yeah, like, you could get your content wherever you want once you have your internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the key advantage here right now, you guys are right, is not cost. It's control. Like, you don't have to sign a contract. You can cancel at any time. And that's the appeal of Sling TV as well, which, by the way, is $20 a month. So it's a whole lot cheaper, but you also have a lot fewer channels. But it's the same thing. Like, I can just decide to cancel it at any time. I don't have to do these bundles with contracts with hidden fees. Like, I got to rent a modem now, or a cable box, or pay for DVR service, et cetera, et cetera. It's very clear what you're paying for, at least, even if it doesn't necessarily save everybody a lot of money.
I just think they'd have had a home run if they'd have said $19.99 a month. They just would have nailed it. That would have been the price.
They wouldn't have been
point.
able to afford it. That's the problem.
That's the problem, right?
Because they have the reason Sling is only $28 is they only have like 25 channels.
Sure.
They got 60 channels here. That's a lot of money you're paying to these networks.
Sure.
But couldn't Sony, because they're such a giant corporation, get into the market disruptively with a loss leader just to get you kind of into the service, and then slowly figure out, increasing the price or figuring out.
I'm not sure they can. And Tom, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm not sure Sony's in that position anymore. They used to kind of be. Microsoft's more in a position to be a loss leader with the cash they can throw at it. But I feel
Sony definitely has more financial troubles than Microsoft. The other question is, a loss leader needs to lead to something, and I'm not sure where you would lead to.
Yeah.
Like, the loss leader on a PS4 is people will pay money for the games.
Right.
So
right.
In this case,
I'm not saying there isn't a way to do that, but
sure.
I'm not sure what it is.
But in this case, this feels experimental. It feels like there's not necessarily an end game. It's like, well, here's the first stab at it, and maybe later it'll be cool. But you're right, it doesn't lead to a lot. And PlayStation's doing really well. Like, that division is killing it. But
yes,
the rest of Sony is sucking it. So there's this bigger question of where would the money come from. But I don't know. If they wanted to motivate me, and I'm a big Sony fan, I really like my PS4. I like what they're doing generally with a lot of services and stuff. But I am not compelled for $50. There's no way I'm doing that.
We use more, I have 2 kids. We use more video streaming, I think, on the PlayStation than we do in anything else. Like, because we get Netflix and YouTube and everything else through there. So
sure.
That's really where we're headed in a good way, is like you have one device that does everything. I can play games, I can watch Blu-rays, and I can watch all of my video content through this one device through apps and even I think the Blu-rays will go away eventually too.
Mm-hmm. And it's, for people like me, where the only hole I have in my content viewing life and habits is some kind of live option. When I want the Super Bowl, or I want the World Series, or I want something usually sports related, I can't get it as a full unplugger unless I want to go through a bunch of antenna stuff, and sometimes that works and whatever. But what I was really hoping with this is they would come out with like do smaller chunks. Just give me the sports stuff for 10, or give me, whatever, the cooking channel for 5, or, that thing we all think we want, and that they don't seem to want to give us, and that they don't really have the control to give us. So I don't know. The whole thing just
channels we actually want, and not pay for the ones we don't want.
Yeah. It's just a little disappointing, the whole thing, in my mind. But we'll see.
I think a lot of people are looking at it that way because they look at the $50 and they're like, that's too expensive. Even though I think a lot of people, if they really figured it out, would find out that this is about what they're paying anyway. And the biggest problem is that it's all hidden in temporary discounts and bundling. So, you can get that deal that's like, oh, it's $60 a month for all this cable and internet, but you're limited to, maybe 25 megabits per second, and it's going to go up after a year unless you call them and ask for another deal. It's just really hard to compare the two things.
Yeah, that reminds me, Tom. Thank you. I got to call time my bill down again. Got to do it every 6 months.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not even kidding.
Absolutely.
It creeps up. They don't tell you, and then when you call back and say you're going to leave, then it goes back down to a reasonable number again.
It's ridiculous that exists.
Yeah. So that is an advantage. Is like, at least it's going to be $50 every month. You don't have to remember to do anything about it.
Well, we'll see as time goes on. Today, though, we're going to play we're going to do with this little game. This game right here.
America scores and wins.
All right, it's time for a little pop quiz time. That's where we ask you guys trivia questions. You compete against one another for score. Tom scores the whole thing if you get an answer right. If you get it wrong, and you have your own categories here. Let's start with Chris. You don't know what this is. I haven't told you. So here's your category. No cheating allowed. You must be quick with your answers, and your category.
That's category. No cheating allowed.
It's your that sounds like a movie, but it's a good thing because this is film trivia. We've decided film trivia. Graham, don't worry, yours is kind of cool too. So here you go.
Not as cool.
Yeah, not quite as cool. Film trivia begins like this. In The Raiders of the Lost Ark, what is the name of the snake that belongs to Indiana Jones's pilot, Jock Lindsay?
Dear Lord.
I'll give you a hint. There's in the scene where he goes, Jock, where he starts freaking out and he goes, oh, that's just my pet snake. And he says a name.
I'm going to say Jake.
You are incorrect. It is Reggie. That's my
I would
pet
give him a
snake,
half
Reggie.
point because that was just a ridiculous question.
I knew this one, though. That one jumped out at me when I saw it.
Did
All
you really?
Yeah. I always remember him saying, that's just my pet snake, Reggie. I just remember the line. Next up, how many Academy Awards did Terminator 2 win?
Jesus.
Don't worry.
It's got to be 1 for effects.
Let's find out if you're right. 4. They were for best sound editing, best sound mixing, best makeup, and best visual effects.
You get a quarter point because you were a quarter right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Right.
Way to go.
Graham, hopefully you'll do better than me.
You're an embarrassment to our brand.
In Fight Club, what is Jack's power animal?
His power animal?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. A bear.
You are wrong. It is a penguin. A penguin. I don't
Wait,
remember.
when you say trivia, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, Iceworm, who does these questions, just outdid himself.
I agree. These are rough. All right, next up. Which Avengers cast member appeared in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World as one of the evil ex-boyfriends of Ramona Flowers?
Oh, come on, Chris.
Nice one, Graham.
Is it Hawkeye?
You are incorrect. It is Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, damn it. That's right.
It was almost a penalty for giving away the answer.
I know.
though.
It was awesome,
I know.
though. I appreciated it.
That was my intention. As soon as he said, come on, Chris, I realized, I'm kind of giving him the answer.
Yeah. You should have said, come on, Chris. Evan, I know the answer to this.
All right, I'm going to pull up IMDb for the next one.
All right. In Easy A, who plays Olive's English teacher, Mr. Griffith?
All right, hold on.
Oh, you can't cheat, dude.
No, I don't know. I never saw Easy A.
Oh, that's too bad. It is. I was going to give you a hint. It is Thomas Hayden Church.
But Chris gets a full point for answering correctly that he never saw Easy A.
There you go. And good on you. What 1990 feature film features that classic line, quote, "You cut the turkey without me"? I'll do it in the voice. You cut the turkey without me.
Avalon.
Oh, I love that movie. You got that right. Nicely done. It's one of my favorite movies. Freaking love it.
It's a great movie. It's Kevin Pollak's amazing in it too.
Yeah, Barry Levinson's best in my opinion. All right, in Empire Records, what band is Ethan Embry's character Mark obsessed with?
The Pixies.
You are incorrect. It is Gwar.
Damn it.
Although
That's
Pixies was
female
pretty.
version.
Yeah, that's pretty hipster. I think you weren't. I would have said something similar. Final question: what film marks the film acting debut of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
Oh, I would say it's a Mummy movie. Probably Mummy 2?
The Mummy Returns. That is Mummy 2. Correct. Nice job. That's a terrible film, though.
Yes. And in the end, he actually gets to be a graphic on top of a giant scorpion.
That's right, he did.
You're going to get a half-point bonus for having to have remembered that movie.
Oh, that final scene was photoshoppy as hell. It was terrible.
Yes.
So bad. All right, Chris, hang on to your butts because we're going to get back to you with a score in a second. Now we move over to Graham.
I already know I've lost, but go ahead.
Comedy trivia, Graham. Are you ready for comedy trivia?
Yes, I am.
Because you do stand-up, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, then I think you're ready for this. What comedian is mentioned in REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It?
Andy Kaufman.
You are incorrect. It is Lenny Bruce.
What?
You're thinking of Man in the Moon.
Is Andy Kaufman also mentioned in that song? No?
I don't think so. It's Man in the Moon, I think, is the one you're thinking of.
Andy, did you hear about this one?
That's Man in the Moon, isn't it?
That is Man in the Moon.
Best man in the.
Yeah. I like that we got you to sing. He should get some points for that.
He gets a half point for his fine voice. You're
Okay.
absolutely
I
right.
like it.
Thank you.
All right, next up. What 3 comedians were the hosts of the HBO charity event Comic Relief?
Oh, Whoopi Goldberg, Robin Williams, and Billy Crystal.
Very nice. You did it. You got it.
Quarter point speed bonus on top of the full
You
point.
get 3. There you go.
Yay, yay!
Which comedian debut album was titled Luigi's Doghouse? He's currently all the rage,
Luigi's Doghouse.
and he works clean. If that may give away something.
Oh, well, then that's Jim Gaffigan.
Interesting.
Yeah, you're right. It's Jim Gaffigan. I kind of gave it
Yeah,
away.
he totally gave you that one.
Hey, it could have been
Takes
Brian
a
Regan.
shower before every performance.
Could have been Regan. You never know.
Yeah, it's
he,
either
he does a bit on Hot Pockets. Do you know who that comedian is?
That bit. All right. What comedian got on stage and got in Carlos Mencia's face and accused him of stealing material?
Joe Rogan.
You are correct. What year did comedian Mitch Hedberg pass away?
2005.
Man, nailing it. Chris wasn't wrong. Let's see.
Oh, I knew.
What
Knows it's comedy.
what comedian played the role of Edgar Friendly in Demolition Man?
Rob Schneider.
The default answer is kind of Rob Schneider, but it is Dennis Leary in this case.
Oh.
Fair enough. You might be thinking of his character in.
You're gonna lose 1/10 of a point for confusing the two.
And the
Judge,
word
yeah,
comedian
I'm sorry.
to you, Graham.
Yeah, comedian. Sorry, we should have emphasized that word. All right, what was the first comedy album to feature George Carlin?
God.
I didn't know this. This is weird.
Is it the Smothers Brothers?
It is Burns and Carlin at the Playboy Club tonight.
Ooh.
Burns?
Burn, like George Burns. Isn't that weird?
Huh.
It's weird. Final question. What year did the HBO series Dennis Miller start?
1993.
You are 1 year off. It was 1994.
Oh.
That's the correct answer.
When did he go to Fox News?
Yeah, when did he become... Actually, when is...
Late 90s, right?
When did I find out he was hosting the podcast awards in Vegas next month? About a week ago, I found that out.
Boy.
Yeah, I know. I may go just... Because if I win... I'm sure we're going to win one for one of our categories, and I kind of just want to shake his hand and go, thanks, babe, and walk off the thing. Probably will happen. All right, there you go. Nicely done. Tom, score it up. How'd they do?
Well, it was a lot closer than I think Chris thought. Through various, and we have a very detailed rule scoring system here. Chris ended up with 4.35 points, but Graham, you still edged him with 4.65 points.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Nicely
I
done.
thought.
Way to go, everybody.
So I got a lot of actual questions right, and Chris got a lot of bullshit bonus nonsense.
Rules are the rules, Graham. Don't hate the game. Hate the player.
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Wait, don't hate the player. Don't hate the player. We like the player. All right, it's time for this.
The future promises even more startling things to come.
It's a little segment we call Forecast. It used to be an entire show, but now it's just a segment. And it goes like this. I don't know whose this is today. Oh, it's from you, Tom. You want to read it?
Yeah, sure. So I threw in the prediction for this episode in honor of our film critiquing guests. I think someday, and I'm not even sure how far off in the future this is, movies will become like opera. So they will become special events, fabulous period-appropriate locations meant to glorify cinema and be sort of seen as something that cultured, upper crusty sort of folks do.
Because the rest of us will do what? Like we'll be in sort of VR interactive-y things, and this will be considered an old way.
The wealth of entertainment options out there will sort of pull the audiences away as everyone fears. But kind of like what Spielberg was saying mid last year, theaters will become bigger and greater events, and they won't go away. But opera used to be the thing, right? That used to be what every European went to do, and it's still around. It never died, but it's sort of this niche.
It's the vinyl of the visual arts, really. You go back to it, right? You go back because it's an old bygone thing. You have nostalgia for it, and so just like opera, it will be diminished. But I think this is a dead-on prediction. I think this is totally what will happen one day. Because I'm telling you, man, after having some experience with this VR stuff this year, We are heading into a weird new place. And there is a reason why Oculus and others have hired full-time storytelling teams that aren't focused on video games or walking around poking at stuff. They don't care about that. They care about storytelling within a VR space. I think they're all very serious about the idea that the future might be you are in the scene. Whether that's good or whether that's bad or whether we're all old men and hate it, it doesn't matter. I still think that's kind of the way things are going to go.
I'm going to get dressed up and go to a movie.
Right. You and I are going to suit up and go sit in a thing like the old timers and watch. It'll be great.
What if we all got dressed up to go to a movie, and then when we get there, everyone has to wear an Oculus Rift?
Oh, then I may as well have stayed home in my underwear and done the same thing at that stage. I don't know. What do you guys think? Graham, do you think there's a future in this, that movies will stick around as this old-timey experience?
I think so, in the sense that there is still something about going to a movie theater and seeing something on the big screen. And yeah, I mean, as a guy, Chris and I have to watch a couple movies every week to talk about them. There's plenty of times where I'm like, oh man, I don't have the time or the energy to go to a theater, so I'll just, VOD something or whatever. But I still like the experience of going into a big movie theater. And I think that shared experience will still be there in one form or another. And will it be like opera houses? Like it's this sort of niche thing for, elitists or hipsters or whatever? Maybe. But I still think, the big movie, the big blockbuster is still something that's fun to see in a packed theater. And I think most people feel that way.
Yeah. Chris, what do you think? Think that's the way of things?
I definitely agree. I don't think they'll ever go away. I don't know if it'll necessarily be just for the elite as we move into this next VR stage of our evolution. I think, too, you'll still have big event movies like The Avengers that everyone will go to the theater and see, even far into the future. I mean, you might have the, quote, elite going more often than, most people, just to experience kind of like the throwback of getting dressed up, going to the movies and seeing a film. But I really think movies will never lose that kind of like populist appeal. Like there's a movie for everyone. And if it hits you in the right way, you're going to go out and see it. So I think it'll always be there for everyone, but I think it will kind of shrink a little bit, like you guys are saying, but I think it'll be there not just for the elite, but it'll be for everyone.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't want to put a timeline on it, because I think it'll be a very slow process. And we've already kind of seen it, right? A lot of theaters go out of business. A lot of heritage theaters go out of business, but we still have movies, and they're still coming up with new reasons to get us in there. And I totally agree with you that there is something different and special about seeing a movie on the first day with a bunch of people who are really excited to see that same movie and getting to have that group experience that will always be special. I just wonder, like, as time goes on, does that become more and more of an antique speciality and something that's, maybe it's not even elite is the wrong word, but it's sort of something you don't do as often. I kind of like what Chris was saying, is there'll be people who do it regularly because they're hipsters or throwbacks, but every once in a while there'll be that one thing that a lot of people will want to do.
Well, it may evolve to be like, a one-man show where somebody gets on stage and does a dialogue based thing where it's them in a chair. And I don't mean stand-up so much, although there's a lot of crossover there, but where they get up and do essays and one-man show type stuff. That's really just the storytelling we had before film or books that were readily available or whatever.
So Carrie Fisher's wishful drinking is just the modern-day bard around the campfire.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a specialized experience and one that doesn't necessarily go away because it has some appeal or whatever. And it's like, TV killing radio. That never happened because radio is a valid thing in its own right. And it's, continues to thrive
and
today.
that was completely inaccurate. Podcasting is killing radio.
There you go. Yeah, that'll happen. But basically, it's in the end, we're all going to look back on podcasting and go, oh, that's where radio went. And that's what I think. And then it won't even be called that. It'll be called, I don't know, some other dumb name. But bottom line is,
on-demand audio stream.
There you go. Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's that thing in my virtual reality headset that doesn't have any pictures.
Yeah.
It's weird.
But here's your middle step. This is just, I'll throw this out there because I've been thinking about it. So let's say there's Avengers. Let's say we have this now. Avengers 2 is coming out. Wouldn't it be cool if, to coincide with that, we all got a cool at-home Oculus / Valve VR headset thing, whatever, program that was a big rendered version of like the fight in New York City. And we have the opportunity to walk around the rubble, to inspect everything that's going on, to get up close to these obscure angles. The team, the Avengers themselves, are standing out in the street having a conversation. And like a lot of video games, they don't actually trigger their scripting until you get close enough to hear it and see it. Then some more story continues. And then they fly off to do their next thing, but you can hang around and look at some more stuff. Eventually you might wander up to Stark Tower, and then kicks in the next sort of bit of dialogue. But now you get to inspect all the computers and mess around with all the stuff and, poke the Hulk, try to poke Bruce Banner and see if you can get him to get mad or whatever. Like those kinds of things, as silly as they sound, they're basically what apps and like websites and Facebook pages and things are now for movies to help promote them. Give me some cool interactive VR stuff tied to these big movie releases, and I think you have the perfect bridge to whatever that all becomes.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you definitely hit some interesting points, especially with like big budget movies. I think the genre that will be most effective with that, although it would be terrifying, is horror. Like if you're actually in a haunted house and you're looking around and you're there with the actors and the monsters, and I don't think there's any more visceral experience for VR than horror.
Yeah, that scares the hell out of me.
I think too, you're going to have, you're seeing a trend right now, these they're putting these seats in that shake or whatever, and I don't know if that's going to take or not, but in terms of VR in the movie theater, you might have some movie theaters that say, we have this, that Avengers thing you're talking about. Well, maybe they'll have some sort of display or thing you can use in the lobby of the theater when you go see Avengers, you get to do that, or you get to fly in a virtual Avengers spaceship kind of thing, just to get you to the theater, because if you want to have that system at your house, it's going to cost $400 or $500, or you can just go and buy your ticket to the Avengers with this extra VR, basically like bonus footage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Disney's starting to do some of that now with like when they do a big Pixar movie at the El Capitan in Hollywood. What they'll have behind it is like a big giant like interactive play area that's themed with the film, so the kids can actually go see the film and then actually go play in some of the sets, and sometimes they'll have characters walking around. So I think that's another way to make the movie an event. Like if you go and don't just get to see the movie, there's things that you couldn't do at home, like Graham is saying.
Yeah, I'm into that. That whole idea sounds good. So yeah,
well, yeah, because when I was a kid, what I wanted to do was continue to live the movie as soon as I came out of the movie, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
Walking around in those scenes, dude. Oh, see,
Yeah.
that's a really cool idea. I love Forecast. We'll have another one next week, of course. We do have a quick phone call, rather email here, that came to us at I cannot talk tonight. currentgeek@gmail.com. You can also leave us voicemail if you'd like at 801-471-0462. We'll play it on the next show. Here is the email from Craig Pendergrass, who says, "Hey guys, what do you think of a modern-day Doctor Who movie and have all the living Who's in it?" Tom, you're the resident Who guy, more than me anyway.
Well, that was the 50th anniversary special.
Oh, that pretty much was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I guess he's thinking
they didn't have all the living Who's in that movie, but they figured out a way to get all the living doctors involved in the celebration around it in some way, and their faces all show up at some point.
Isn't that the closest you're going to get?
I kind of think so. I mean, I don't know. I would love to have a reason for them to do like a really high budget Doctor Who movie, possibly. But if they didn't do it for the 50th anniversary, I'm not sure what that reason would be.
Yeah.
And if Doctor Who becomes too high budget, doesn't that kind of take some of the charm away?
Well, it could, right? I mean, it could totally ruin it. That's a really good point, because some of the reboot or the restart or whatever you want to call it has helped increase the production value. So it's not so much about like, oh, the kitschy alien that looks like, has got a plunger on his head.
Right.
But
on the dolly.
there's still that heritage around it, right? And it's still got that kitsch value to it. It's a good point.
Well, who knows, Craig? If that'll happen, we'll be here to watch it. It's going to do it for the show. Man, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you being on today. Tell us more about where you guys can be found, what you're up to, where people can track you down.
Well, our website, comedyfilmnerds.com, has movie reviews. It has an online store. We sell everything from feature film downloads to shirts to that will get you to Mars, and comedian CDs and DVDs. And our podcast is also on iTunes. And we have a new feature film that we're in post-production on. It's a documentary about podcasting called Earbuds, the podcasting documentary. So you can check that out. You can even pre-order downloads and DVDs of that. And then we have the LA Podfest, which is September 18th through the 20th.
Cool, man. That sounds awesome.
Yes.
And you guys...
Tom is going to be involved in the podcast festival. I invited him to do help with a panel on crowdfunding.
Yeah, can't wait. That's going to be fun.
Oh, that'd be great. Tom
and the other thing also we have is for, I know a lot of your fans are readers, we have the Comedy Film Nerds Guide to Movies is out right now. That's a book. It's also on Kindle. You could get it anywhere, but if you want it signed, you could get it at comedyfilmnerds.com.
Very cool. Go check that out, folks. Tom, we got anything else you want to mention?
There's also an episode of Comedy Film Nerds that I was on recently. Had a blast chatting with you guys. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
Great.
Giant fans, come check that out. It was maybe a couple weeks ago.
Very cool. Still up on the feed. Awesome. It's going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'll be hosting a brand new thing for NVIDIA tomorrow at twitch.tv/NVIDIA. Be playing a bunch of games live, interviews, doing some game reviews and some other stuff. That is an ongoing project. This weekend is the first episode. So if you're interested in that, it goes from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/NVIDIA. And I hope to see some of you there. I think it's going to do it for us. Our theme was made by Andrew Allen. Thanks, Andrew Allen. CurrentGeek.com for all our details. Go check that out, all our Twitters and all our other stuffs. It's going to do it for us, for me, for Tom, and for our guests. We'll see you next time. Episode complete.
Well done. Good show, you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay, that
guys.
was fun.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to have you on. You guys were awesome. I need to read more and listen to more of what you guys are doing. I don't know why I've not heard more of it, but when Tom got back, he was like, "Yeah, you should check these guys out."
That now.
Yeah, I'll fix it now. I'll fix it
Why not?
now.
And then, is there? I mean, I know that was live, but then there's a. Or can you email us like a link to archive for this episode
Yeah.
so we can promote that?
Yeah, of course. No problem at all. I'll put it. We'll email it over to you. Is what I'll do. I usually get it up same day too, so I'll have it up tonight sometime.
Oh, great.
Awesome.
Up on the feed, and we'll send you a link.
Cool.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks so much, Tom. Have a great
thanks,
weekend,
guys.
man.
Thanks,
See you
guys. Have a
guys
good
later.
weekend.
Bye, everybody. We're out.